Hello, this is Julie with SteamCat, and I'm back with another video. I've had some requests for demonstrations of some of the wearables items that I've created. So I'm going to start off with a few of my early ones today, just so you can see the journey I've taken and also see how some of these have held up over the years. These two date to 2016 and 2017, and they've been to a lot of conventions and in and out of hat boxes, and so you'll get an idea of how this stuff holds up. So the first one is the electric tiara. Okay, this one was built in 2016 after Cards of Humanity did their 2015 Hanukkah event, and what they did was everyone who put in got to be Lord or Lady over an Irish castle for 3 minutes. We got to make 3 proclamations. So, of course, I could not let this pass without making a crown or something that would light up. And I decided, when I nodded to my subjects and acknowledged their cheers for my proclamations, like every Friday is Tex-Mex Day, that something ought to happen. So the lights change. So I'll show you how this is put together. We'll move that out of the way. These are, of course, NeoPixels. Lovely NeoPixels. I love these. These are sewable NeoPixels. It's what I had on hand at the time. And the tiara I bought locally. This was kind of a last-minute project, and it shows. I glued the NeoPixels in with this. It's Helmar 450 quick dry adhesive. It's acetone based, and yes, it smells like nail polish remover, but it's not as nasty smelling as E6000. It doesn't bond as well for certain things, but for these it worked great. So all the NeoPixels are wired in. I used white wire to sort of try and get it to blend in so it wouldn't show so much in the front. But what I did was, you can see in a couple of spots, I marked the wires. The hot wire was red, the ground wire was black, and the data wire was green. So that way I knew where the wires were going. And of course I still screwed it up, but there you go. This was a learning experience. Okay, the heart of this is a trinket processor from Adafruit. And I'm going to pull this stuff off. I put a NeoPixel down here and a little bit of, it's hard to tell and it doesn't show in the slide at all, some fiber optic strands just for a little interest. Under here is the power light, and you cannot turn this light off. So you either turn it off, you cover it with electrical tape or pot it or do something. So I just covered it with electrical tape. The trinket is a small processor, and I didn't obviously need a lot just to turn some LEDs on and off. This is a tilt switch. These are real cool. You can't hear it, but as you move it back and forth, there's a little ball inside, and each end of the switch is an on and off. This is more of a momentary push button switch, actually, and so when it gets to the end, it switches one end to the other. It switches the lights. It's persnickety. So, and it works better on a head. So this is all attached to a CR2032 battery pack. Holds 2 batteries. I used a hair clip to clip it on. You see it's been on this thing on and off many times. And I'll just put that back on for now. And so I bought some feathers from the craft store, a feather clip or 2, to cover all this up, which, is not the best, but like I said, this is a quick project. So it works. I've been taking it, like I said, to conventions ever since 2016, so it's been through it a lot, and it's held up really well. I'm pleased with that. If I was going to do this again, I would choose a different processor. I would have to because the Trinket is discontinued, I believe. There's a really cool new one called the Cutie Pie, which runs Circuit Python, which will work. I would probably use a full crown instead of a tiara. As I said, this was a last minute thing, and getting. Hello, I was going to get a better color there. But anyway, it's a last minute thing, and getting a crown was not possible. At least the one I wanted that wasn't a cheap Party City crown. Nothing against those, but I wanted this to hold up for a while, which it has wonderfully. So I would get a better crown, I would get a better processor, and I would probably get different neopixels depending on the configuration of the crown and where I could put the neopixels in. I would definitely get a narrower gauge of wire, and also if I couldn't get it in a gray or silver, I would certainly consider painting it to better disguise the wires. However, this has been a great thing. I've worn it to conventions, I've worn it in the evening at parties, and it's a lot of fun. The next thing I built for the radio shows that we do, this is a sound reactive hat, as you can tell. Let me see if I can move my phone back just a little bit so you can see more of it. This is a thrifted hat. It's a vintage hat, and I just took some little string lights, moonlights, whatever you want to call them, and just strung them through all that little braid. You can see there a spot where I did it. Then I ran it under the edge of the hat, right back there by the label, by Evelyn Varon exclusive. And then I mounted most of my electronics on a piece of felt, and there's a piece of hook and loop tape there so I can cover it up, and if I'm wearing hairspray, that won't interfere with it, or my hair won't get in the electronics. So you really don't want that to happen. So let's see what's inside of here. This is an Adafruit Gemma, which is the wearables version of the Trinket. And the Gemma is still available. There's a brand new version of that called the Gemma MO. And that's the processor I showed in a separate video with the color mixing program. That's the Gemma MO. I like this one because it has a JST battery connector on the back, so I was able to use the CR2032 battery pack with one of these connectors, so I can pull it apart if I have to. This is an Arduino, I guess. I mean, that's not a brand. It's built to go with Arduinos or whatever hobbyist stuff you want. It's a microphone, and so I wired all this up and used some code from Adafruit for a sound reactive mask. And that mask uses the Gemma and some of the little sequins that are just individual LEDs. And I'll link all to that, and I'm even going to link to the code for both of these. So if I were going to do this again, whatever I would do would obviously depend on the hat. It's not like I'm going to walk into the store and buy another hat like that. I'll turn this off while I talk for a minute. These little moonlights do not have a lot of range. You can't. They're mostly on off. They don't fade very much. So the software I had for this, if I'm talking softly, it's not supposed to be as bright. If I'm talking loud, they will show up brighter. And actually the autofocus is kind of reflecting on that, so I'll turn this back on. Hello. Um, so I would look at some different lights, definitely. These were quick, these are easy, they required a minimum of soldering, but they just aren't quite there. They're mostly on off, and they won't fade or dim as I would like. I'd like them to be just a little more sound reactive. So that, and also, I don't have a problem with the processor, but these microphones, they make a lot smaller versions now, and I would go with a smaller microphone. The nice thing about both the Gemma and the Trinket, and a lot of the Adafruit processors that are made for wearables, is that they have some voltage regulation inside. So when you attach your battery, they don't have to be you don't have to be really specific. You don't have to have a resistor. I could go 3 volts with this guy or with that guy, and they would still work. I might be able to go up to 9 volts. I don't know if I would really want to, but I would have that option. And for both of these, the batteries, the battery life on the hat is like forever. I think I've changed them once in all these years. This one it'll go an evening, maybe two, on two CR2032 batteries, which ain't bad. But always, if you're making wearables, you really want to have an extra set of batteries with you, because you know they run out. So that's it. And I will post links to products that are still available. I will post links to code and my store. Buy a mask. That helps me with my electronics journey. I thank you very much for watching, and we will see you later. Goodbye.